Hi, I'm Sean, and you're listening to The 3-Month Vacation. I once wrote an article saying that I listened to podcasts while walking. Almost as soon as the email went out, a client wrote back. She didn't agree with me. I don't enjoy listening to anything on my ears while I'm walking, she said to me. When I go for a walk, I don't want to listen to music. I don't want to listen to podcasts. I just want to listen to the sounds of nature. The moment I read that note, I realized I had made a fundamental mistake with my writing. I also missed the opportunity to bring in the drama. And that's what today's episode is all about. It's about an article making a U-turn. When an article doesn't make a U-turn, it's less of an article and more of a monologue. What's a U-turn anyway? When someone says, you should drink 8 glasses of water a day, surely you have a different opinion. Maybe you think 10 glasses are better, or instead 6 glasses are more than enough. Whatever your final thought, most of us never simply accept information without first having some objection in place. When we purchase a product or a service, we have 1 objection, 2, 3, maybe even 6. That's because a product or a service is somewhat of a new idea. And the same thing applies to an article. When we are writing an article, a client has objections, and they may not have 6 objections, but they will at least have 1 or 2. And this is why the U-turn is so crucial. This is why your objection, the objections that you put in, they become so important. Because when you put in that U-turn, you prove to your audience that you've covered both sides of the argument. It gives that added heft to your article, which is not the case if you go about prattling in one direction. It also adds much needed contrast when you suddenly break and then you go off in a different direction, only to make another U-turn down the road and come back the same way. The biggest reason to put that objection in is because the reader has a new idea they have to contend with, and what you're doing is you're looking at the other side of the fence and calming them down a little bit. But surely not all articles have to have a U-turn. A U-turn doesn't mean that you have to destroy the facts or the science. Instead, what you're doing is you're just taking the view of the reader or the listener. If you're saying something like boil the water to 100 degrees centigrade, you can't suddenly say boil it to 89 degrees centigrade. That is still the science. It needs to go to 100 degrees centigrade. But you are sitting in the reader's shoes, as it were, or walking in their shoes, and you think, well, what if they can't boil the water to 100 degrees centigrade? What else could they do? So you're really looking at other situations, other scenarios. You're giving advice in a situation where your own advice can't be implemented. Objections matter. You're looking into what a client might object to, and then you're carefully deconstructing that objection. In sales, on a sales page, you can have 5 or 6 objections. You can deconstruct all of them. When you're writing an article, you don't have to go overboard. Keep it down to 1 or 2 objections. Otherwise, with all these U-turns, everybody gets a little dizzy. That's a tiny piece of advice, and yet it adds drama, and it makes your article complete. Try it. And that brings us to the end of this podcast. Let's find out what's happening in Psychotactics Land. What's happening in Psychotactics Land is the Uniqueness course is coming up shortly, next month. And then we have the article writing course, Home Study, that follows. So there you've been put on notice. If you've been waiting for either Uniqueness or the article writing course, it's coming right around the bend. That's it from me in Psychotactics Land. I'll say bye for now. Bye-bye. Still listening? What do I do when I write an article? Do I always put in objections? Well, most of the time I do, and sometimes I don't. And that very same article that I miss out the objection, someone will come back and say, well, this is the way I think. And I go, oh, damn. But that's why you have to kind of have a slot which says, how would the reader look at this same piece of information? What would they object to? I don't always do it, but most of the time I do, and I hope you will too. Bye for now, and see you in 5000 BC.